Hi there and welcome to the MALAT Cookery channel on a very, very cold day in the middle of March here in the UK. It's been snowing overnight, so there's not really a lot to do other than let's make some cookery videos. So in this video we're going to be making a smoked pancetta and bacon pasta bake, and the MALAT seasoning we're going to be using is the Italian seasoning. Want to try and get people away from using these cooking sauces. They've got a lot of extra salt and sugar added. We want to try and take that out of the diet if possible. So today for this recipe we're going to be using just a basic passata sauce, which is really just tomatoes, sieved tomatoes. All of the ingredients will be given at the end of the video as usual. So let's start by having a look at what ingredients we're going to be using today. Okay, so for today's recipe we've got 440 grams of dried pasta. This is pen pasta. You should be looking, if you're looking to calculate how much pasta per person, for an adult you should be looking at between 100 and 110 grams of dried pasta. We've got 200 grams of smoked pancetta and 200 grams of unsmoked bacon lardons in here. 130 grams of mature cheddar cheese, good quality mature cheddar cheese. 30 grams of a decent quality Parmesan cheese. 2 teaspoons of the MALAT Italian Seasoning. So this is an all-in-one seasoning, so there's no need to add any other seasonings or garlic or onion to the dish. This does everything, and all we do is we get all of the pure ingredients and just finely grind them. So it's almost like an instant sauce mix. Here we've got 2 teaspoons of a good quality tomato puree, some decent quality olive oil for frying, and then 2 500 gram containers of passata. So one thing I've noticed with the passata, I went to the local supermarket to have a look. It seems to be the more expensive the passata brand, they tend to start adding salt and sugar in, which is what we want to keep away from. We want to keep that down to a bare minimum just for taste. So this cheaper one actually just contains tomatoes and citric acid. Okay, so we've got our salted water, which is now boiling, and we want to add the pasta. So just add the pasta a little bit at a time. Don't just throw it all in. And the reason for that, and again the reason that we're using the largest gas ring on the hob, is we want the water to now get back up to temperature as soon as possible. If the water isn't boiling, or if we just throw the pasta in and it hasn't got a chance to come back to the boil straight away, what will happen is the pasta will stick together and you just get a horrible lump in the bottom of the pan. So I'm going to put the lid back on, wait for that to get back up to the boil, and then I'm just going to stir it again. Then I'm going to leave this until the pasta is just about done. It's difficult to give estimated times of how long that will take because I don't know what type of pasta you guys are using, but just a case of, from your own experience, or read the pack that the dried pasta came in, and that should give you a good indication. So this is now come back up to the boil. Just going to give it another stir just to make sure that the pasta hasn't stuck together. Okay, so the only thing we have in this water is salt. We just put some salt in there just for taste. Turn that down now. I'm going to leave that until it's just about done. Okay, so that's the pasta now cooked. It's cooked, but it's just a little bit firm, al dente as they call it, so that's perfect for a pasta bake. Just a point on the water. So if you want to calculate how much water to actually use for the pasta, I normally do, for 110 grams of dried pasta, about 800 millilitres of water, salted water, to actually boil it in. that gives you a good indication. So the next thing we're going to do with this is I'm going to drain this off, and then I'm going to use this pan to actually cook the sauce and then re-add the pasta back into the pan. Okay, so this is the pan that we used for the pasta. All I've done is just drained the pasta out of it. We've added in about 3 tablespoons of olive oil, bringing that up to the heat now, and we're just going to fry off the pancetta and bacon lardons. Okay, so this has been cooking now for about 3 to 4 minutes. You don't have to use pancetta if you don't want to. You can use just unsmoked bacon chopped and smoked bacon chopped. It's entirely up to you. Next thing we want to add is the litre of passata. So all I've done with that, because I don't like to waste anything, I've just added a little bit of hot water into the actual containers themselves, just to swill them out, just to make sure I get every last bit of passata. And we just want to mix that in. So to that now, I'm going to be adding the MALAT Italian Seasoning and also the tomato puree. And again, we're just going to mix that in. So as I said before, because these herbs have been ground down to almost a powder, the cooking time actually speeds up a lot. We don't have to leave this on the hob for an hour and a half, just so that the flavours from the actual dried herbs come through. Because we've actually gone through additional grinding processes before we actually pack the herbs, we actually speed up that cooking process quite significantly. So that's now that's all mixed in. The next thing I want to do is add the pasta back into the bowl. And then just take a little bit of time just to mix that in, just to make sure that the pasta hasn't stuck together. And if any have, just break it up. So the next thing I'm going to do is just to leave this on a low heat, just to warm up. We're going to put the oven on at 180 degrees centigrade, preheat the oven up. We're then going to transfer this mixture into an oven-proof dish, cover with the cheddar cheese, and then that'll go into the oven for about 20 minutes. Okay, so the pasta is now ready to go in the oven. One thing I've done with the oven-proof dish is I've just given it a slight coating of olive oil. Now that just helps the pasta to come away from the sides easy when we're serving it. Okay, so just make sure we get all of this out of here. So that just fits in there nicely. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is cover the dish with the mature cheddar cheese. Now we don't use the Parmesan cheese until we're actually looking to dish this out after it's been in the oven. And it's just more of a traditional thing to do with pasta dishes. So that's all covered now. So this is going to go into a preheated oven, 180 degrees centigrade, for about 20 minutes, where we'll get a lovely bubbling cheese crust on the top. Okay, so that's it. It's been in the oven now for 20 minutes. All the cheese is melted. It smells absolutely gorgeous. The next thing to do before we actually serve this is just to put the Parmesan cheese on the top. So what we would normally do as a family is we would put this in the centre of the table with some serving spoons, so it becomes almost like a family event all around the dinner table. Okay, so that's it. Smoked pancetta and bacon pasta bake, certainly cheaper than using cooking sauces, definitely a lot healthier than using cooking sauces, and in my opinion a hell of a lot tastier as well. If you can just take a few grams of salt and sugar out of your diet every day, then believe me, you'll see some massive benefits. So please subscribe to the channel, and if you've enjoyed the video, hit that like button. Thanks for watching. And even though it's only 10:30 on a Sunday morning, I can't resist it. Absolutely gorgeous.